Today, I'm going to take a look at a game that gives me pangs. It gives me nostalgic feelings of video games I used to play when I was younger. And it also kind of looks a little bit like an iOS game. It's got beautiful artwork. It's got a fun little theme. And it's about a 30-minute game with a little bit of meat on its bones. I'm taking a look at Unearth. In Unearth, your mysterious little dudes are trying to excavate and rebuild ancient ruins from their lost civilization. On the table, you'll find a series of ruins of varying colors that are waiting to be excavated, and another line of wonders that your dudes can build using the stone that you've pulled from the excavation sites. When your turn comes up, you'll select one of the ruins that you plan to excavate. You take one of your 5 dice and you roll it, and you put it on that site. To complete an excavation, the value of all the dice on the card must equal the number at the top of the ruin. The player who has the highest individual die result on the card will get to claim that ruin and put it into their score pile. But before you actually roll the dice, you have the opportunity to play a Delver card, and these have all sorts of effects that can apply to your dice rolls or affect the other dice rolls that are already in play. These cards can really help you engineer who claims the card when the excavation is complete. Anytime one of your die rolls equals a 1, 2, or a 3, you can claim one of the stones from the ruin and build it into your play area. Once you've created a complete circle of stone in your play area, you can build one of the wonders. Lesser wonders can be built with any combination of stones, but greater wonders require all the same color of stone to be surrounding them. And one further, there are named wonders that require a specific set of colored stones before they can be built. Named wonders also have special abilities on them that can help you throughout the game or can score you additional victory points at the end of the game. Each time one of the players claims a ruin, it is replaced with another one from the deck. The last card in the deck is a random end-of-age ruin that will trigger an event that will slightly change the situation for the rest of the game. Once the final ruin is claimed, the game concludes. Players score points for the wonders they've built and the special endgame conditions they provide, plus you'll gain victory points for collecting sets of varying colors of ruin cards. And of course, as you would expect, the player with the most points becomes the greatest ruin excavator in the history of the Mysterious Dudes tribes. Now let me start off by saying that I really dig the theme of Unearth. I really like what they've developed here. You got your little Delver dudes going down into the ruins and trying to unearth these ruins and rebuild wonders and things like that. I really like that concept, and I think that even though it's very difficult to bring that type of thing out in a card and dice-based game, I think the artwork really helps to bring that to light. It's very stylistic artwork here. And on a personal note, I just really like the artwork a lot, mostly because it's that isometric design style. And if you don't know what isometric is, they use it in a lot of technical drawings. Also, a lot of video games use it as well. It's sort of kind of like perspective, but it's not perspective. It's actually like a perfect 3/4 view. That's a lot. I don't know that you care about that. But anyway, I love it because, I played games like SimCity and Syndicate and Populous back in the day. And it really evokes a lot of those memories for me. And I just dig that design style. And I think it's really well done in a very beautiful way in this game. So I think that helps to kind of bring the theme out just a little bit for me. Going past theme and into gameplay, something that I love about this game is that there are so many ways to balance this game out. I mean, when you got a dice game, it's kind of tough. Roll the dice, see what happens. There's a balance, right? Like some people have a bad day rolling dice and they just roll low all the time, and that stinks. This game does an amazingly good job of making it not bad when you roll low, making it not bad when you roll high, and making it not bad if you just roll in the middle somewhere. It all works out in this game because if you roll high, obviously, you have a better chance of getting those ruins, and you can get those ruins and you can build the sets and you can make a lot of points at the end of the game. But if you're having a bad day and you're rolling a bunch of low numbers, they've built in this concept of collecting the stones and building wonders with them. You roll 1, 2s, or 3s, you now can collect stones. So you can go a completely different strategy avenue by rolling low dice. And even if you don't get either of those and you're kind of right down the middle, you can get those Delver cards by, whenever somebody takes a ruin If you don't get the ruin, you get to draw Delver cards, and Delver cards help you modify your rolls later in the game, up or down. So whichever strategy you're going in. So it helps build the people that aren't getting the cards or aren't getting the stones. And I really think that's a great thing about this game. They put some care into coming up with a really cool mechanic there that works well. Now, speaking on those Delver cards, I think that's a really shining point in this game as well, because like I said, dice rolling is sporadic. It's whatever. It's random, literally random. And those Delver cards are what make it easier on you. Obviously, you can play those cards and you can mitigate some of that randomness and you can make the dice go in your favor. And I think that's a lot of fun. And collecting them and playing them in succession, it allows you to play multiples at the same time. So you could do a whole lot of cool things on a particular turn to really get where you're trying to go in the game. So I think there's some replayability here. There's avenues of strategy in this game. There's different play styles for different situations you might get yourself into. So I think that makes this game at least have, 3 or 4 or 5 plays in the box at least before you start, kind of wearing out on it, which that may happen, because really there's not tons and tons of variability in the game. When I say that, I mean, there's different ruins in the game, which ruins don't do a whole lot to make the game different, but you have a bunch of different wonders. And each time the wonders are different, there's enough of them in there that you could get different wonders every time. And I think that's cool. That helps. Also, you have a different end game card every time, which is really fun. I really like the end game cards because they put some very interesting things on those cards. Some of them are great, some of them are bad, and the rest of the game kind of changes a little bit based on those end game cards. That adds variability, but I don't know that that's strong enough to keep it to the coming back to the table regularly after you sort of explored all those strategies. But it's kind of a filler game in a sense. And I hate the word filler, honestly, because if somebody's trying to design a filler game and I call it a filler, that's great. But if they're trying to design like a Meteor style game and I call it a filler because it takes 30 minutes to play, it kind of feels like an insult to me. And this does kind of fall in that filler area, but it's a filler that's got a little bit of meat in there. So 30 minutes, it doesn't overstay its welcome at all, which I think is really good for a game like this. You don't get bored of it by the end of the game. It feels like you did some things. The dice included in Unearth are great. They add to the strategy so well. You get 3 different types of dice. You get a 4-sided die, you get 3 6-sided die, and you get an 8-sided die. And as I mentioned earlier, when you're collecting those stones, if you roll 1, 2, or 3, you collect 1. So the 4-sided die is great for collecting stone because 75% of the time you're going to collect 1. And then the 8-sided die obviously rolls generally higher, so that's great for taking ruins. And then, of course, you have those 3 middling dice that you can use kind of however you need. It's great because having these 3 different types of dice really help you or allow you to play towards specific strategies at specific times. And then, of course, those Delver cards are going to help you augment that even more. So not having just all 6s or all 8s or whatever, having that diversity really helps this game come out a lot better. It blossoms because of those dice. Now, one thing that I didn't dig initially, our whole group didn't really like it as much, but I can't decide if it's bad or not. I just didn't like it. At setup, you get dealt one of the ruin cards so that you start a set. You're going to score that card at the end of the game. So one of them randomly comes out to each player. Then you remove 5 of the ruin cards from the deck completely. Now you're trying to build sets of these cards and there are only 5 of each color card in the deck total, right? So if you're playing with 4 players, essentially you're removing 9 cards from the deck. Many of those sets are now impossible to create, a complete set at least. Sometimes there'll be 1 card. Maybe sometimes there'll be 0 cards in the deck of a certain color. And, it just felt odd to me. To all of us, really. We were just like, we don't know if we can build these sets if we're chasing a set. We can't really get it. We have to work on everything else. And it kind of just muddied everything for us. Now, granted, this could have been added as a balancing mechanic here. Maybe, that strategy would have been too powerful with getting 30 full points for a 5-card set. Maybe it added more conflict in the game because people weren't sure, so they were going for the same colors. If there were 5 different colors that everybody could go after, maybe everyone just goes separate ways and not even worry about it. Who knows? I hate house rules, so I'm not going to try to add a house rule in for this one because I don't know if those balancing factors were thought about during the design of the game. But just that mechanic of taking those cards out just bugged me a little bit, and it's worth mentioning. All of that said, the overall game, I really dig. I dig the mechanics. I dig the dice rolling. Everybody loves to roll dice, and this allows you to mitigate the dice roll randomness. It has those avenues of play where you could go stones and wonders, or you can go ruins. You can go both. I really think that this is a fun game, and I think that I'm going to be getting this one out more often when I have less than an hour until I have to leave or if we're waiting for somebody. I think this is a great choice for that, and it looks beautiful on the table as well. I do appreciate this game. I appreciate the design, and I think it was very fun to play. Unearth, I recommend checking it out. Thank you all so much for checking out my video review of Unearth. If you've enjoyed this video, please click the subscribe link below. And if you want to hear more about board games, card games, role-playing games, please check out the Secret Cabal Gaming Podcast, our audio show, which can be found at thesecretcabal.com or on iTunes. Till next time, take it easy.